Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to take a look at some Pilates Cadillac choreography and putting it on the mat. And what we're gonna mostly be recreating are the leg spring series or the leg spring work. So I have a really long THERABAND. If you don't have one this long, it's okay. You can definitely make do without it. I'll go ahead and put the link to this specific THERABAND in the notes below the video, so you can check it out if you want to get this one. And what we're going to do is kind of tie it up, so we're going to make some foot straps with the band. So I've already done this one side, so you can see there's this nice little loop that my foot is going to fit in. So I'm going to show you how to tie the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and take one end of the band. I'm going to make it, somewhere about the length of my forearm, maybe about 10 to 12 inches. And then I'm going to grab about 3/4 of the way down, and then I'm just going to go ahead and make a simple knot. Okay, so a little bit of arts and crafts origami for your band. And then voila, you have a little loop that should just fit your foot. So let's go ahead and we're going to loop our feet into our little foot loops. It's already starting to look a bit like leg springs. And then the nice thing about doing this series with the THERABAND, which we sometimes kind of forget about when we're working on the equipment, is that it's a really full-bodied exercise. So what we're going to be doing is also integrating a little bit of shoulder stability and arm work. And I'll give you some options if your arms are getting a little bit tired. You can always feel free to take a little rest and come right back into the series. So come down onto your back. You're going to leave your knees bent. And then you're going to go ahead and take your arms kind of up a little bit towards the ceiling, and I'm going to take them on a little bit of a diagonal. So this is another nice way where you can increase or decrease the tension, and they're going to do different things. So increasing the tension isn't necessarily going to make it easier or harder. It's just going to make it different, and you'll feel the difference in your legs. You'll also feel the difference in your abdominals and your shoulders. If you take your arms further back, that's going to increase the tension. And if you take your arms more up to the ceiling, that's going to decrease the tension. So let's go ahead and just start to lift one leg straight up. So I'm keeping a little bit of tension through both sides of the band, and I'm just going to simply take my leg up and down. I'm going to do about 6 of everything today, so that's 2. So I'm just starting to check in, make sure that my torso and my waist are staying still, my pelvis is staying quiet, I'm breathing. I'm feeling my abdominals start to kick on, and I'm really trying to work from my hip joint, so I'm not letting my spine kind of dance around. I'm keeping that still. I'm going to hold the leg at about a 45-degree angle and then just start to bend and extend. So if we're using Pilates terminology, I'm bending into kind of like a tabletop position and then pushing back out. And this can be as low or as high as you like, depending on what feels good for your leg. And again, what I'm mostly focusing on here is the mobility through my hip joint. So I'm making sure that my spine isn't dancing all around the mat. Ribs are down, shoulders are easy, and I'm pushing my hands into the straps or into the band to get that nice length through my arms. Okay, now from there, we're gonna take this into a bicycle action, single leg bicycle, keeping my leg in parallel. So my little band just kind of graze the outside. And this is a good place to maybe gaze at your knee a little bit and just see how it's tracking. Is it wanting to do something really funny? Or can you kind of keep it in a nice parallel straight line, reaching through your foot? Let's reverse direction for 6 and 5 and 4. You can see my arm is starting to get a little tired, bounce around. So I'm going to reach a little more into the straps, drop my ribs down a little bit more, 2 and 1. And I'm going to keep that leg, so this is my left leg up into the air. I'm going to take the band just into my right hand and maybe adjust it a little bit, and then take my right arm out to the side of the room and take my right leg long. I'm going to keep my hand on my hip, but you're more than welcome to take your arm out to the side, down alongside the body. So I'm stretching on a diagonal here, and I'm going to start some leg circles. I'm not making them super big. I'm really concentrating on keeping my torso still and mobilizing from my hip joint. I'm gonna do 3 and 2, 1, and now let's reverse that direction. So I'm really feeling the opposite side of my abs kick on here. You know, both sides are working, but because this leg is in the air, the opposite side of my torso has to work a little bit harder so I don't tip over. 2 and 1. Okay, let's do the whole thing on the other side. So I'm gonna start with my feet down. Feet are about hip distance apart. All right, let's get on the other side. Train's coming, leg train, leg springs train, here we go. Taking the leg down and up for 6. Now, this leg could feel really different. So, hello train. The beauty of this setup and the beauty of the leg springs on the Cadillac is that we can work the legs individually with 2 different lines of pull. So it's a little different than being on the reformer. Let's lower down to 45 and bend and extend. And this can be really valuable, you know, because we're not symmetrical beings, and sometimes one side just needs a little bit more attention, a few more repetitions, a few less repetitions. So when we're able to work the parts or our limbs, parts of the body or our limbs separately, we can really hone in on creating balance through the body. Let's start a bicycle action for 6 and 5. And I'm focusing less on like how high can I draw my leg up. You know, if that's interesting to you, by all means do it. But what I'm seeing if I can focus on is how much can I move my leg around, keeping my torso and my shoulder girdle really still. I'm gonna renew my pushing. So that pushing slightly elevates my shoulders, kind of widens my shoulders on my back and helps connect me more into my abdominal. So if my arms are just kind of whatever, I'm not gonna get that same tension. Tension is a good thing here. Tension helps create stability, okay? So I'm gonna leave that leg up. I'm gonna scoot on my mat just a little bit, and then I'm gonna take the band straight into my other hand, and then I'm gonna stretch my opposite leg long. So right now I have my right arm up, my left arm is reaching out, and I'm just gonna take my right hand on my hip, and then I'm gonna start to draw those leg circles. So I'm reaching on a diagonal. So I'm helping to feel connection along that diagonal line of the body. Ribs are drawing down. Oh, I can feel my neck getting a little excited. I'm gonna say, hey neck, you're cool. You don't need to help out as much. Breathing. Let's go for 6, 5. Feeling that opposite side of the abdominal wall and the torso really helping to keep everything nice and still. 2 and 1. Good. Relax. So from there, we're going to take both of the sides of the strap straight up and then reach the legs up. And then I'm going to connect the inner arches of my feet together. I'm going to choose to keep my toes spreading. You can totally point them. You can flex them. You can do a foint, which is a point and a flex all at the same time. And I'm just going to start to take one leg down and back up. So a nice, slow, deconstructed scissor. I'm going to go for 5, picking up the pace a little bit. And with both of my legs up in there, it feels better for my back to be slightly imprinted, especially because this isn't as much tension or support as the springs. But if it feels better for you to work in kind of what we call more like neutral spine, which is to slightly have that little bit of curve or a little bit of space under your low back, by all means, keep checking in and see what feels best to your torso, what feels like you're getting your abdominal wall to kick on, and then most importantly, where you can breathe. Good. Okay, now I'm going to take my right leg down and I'm going to start to paint that bicycle in space again. I'm going to go a little slower. I'm thinking about reaching my legs away from my stomach and really stabilizing with my arms. As much of an arm workout as it is a leg workout. Let's do 2 more. Breathing, and then reverse. Thinking about a taffy-like quality in the legs, like a saltwater taffy pull. So it's a continuous kind of run-on sentence of movement. 2 and 1. from there, I'm gonna go ahead and bring my feet together. Then I'm gonna turn my feet out a little bit, heels together, toes apart. And I'm trying to make that turnout happen from my hip joint, so not just from my feet, but actually rotating my whole leg. I'm gonna lower down to a place where it feels like my abdominal wall is still supporting me, but it's nicely turned on. And I'm gonna bend and extend into frogs for 6, and 5, and 4, checking in with those shoulders, really reaching into the straps. 3, inner thighs saying hello, glutes saying hello. 2, and 1. Now lifting the legs up, I'm going to point the feet. I'm going to keep my legs a little bit turned out, and I'm going to start to paint circles, the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm going to take my band a little wider so I have a little more support. 2, and 1, and reversing direction. And I'm not being, so obsessive. I'm like, oh my gosh, my torso, it needs to be ramrod still. We're connected beings. Things are going to move in opposition to other things moving. But I am seeing how still I can keep it. That will help the abdominal wall to get a little bit stronger, and the hips to get a little bit more mobile. Okay, relax. Now from there, I'm going to take both ends of the strap into one hand, and then I'm going to just adjust it so I can stretch one leg long. And then I'm going to use my hands to adjust the band just to get a nice little hamstring stretch here. I'm really concentrating. I'm give myself a little more tension on that left. So I'm actively pushing in to my left foot, trying to make the left side of the band longer as the right leg is getting a nice little stretch. Breathe, maybe flex, flex the foot a little bit more as you get into your calf. Let's switch to the other side. So, as always, make these props work for you. I'm just gonna kind of gently draw that femur bone down into the socket, squaring off the hips, and then I'm going to give myself a little more tension on that right side, reaching my right foot into the band. Ooh, hello, hammy. Breathing. And then coming back in. All right, friends. Quick, fun little leg series. Great to do at the end of the day if you've been standing a lot, or if you just feel like you need to sort of like reverse your blood flow. Nice active way to put your feet up. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.